The Fela James Brown connection is very huge when you consider the spectrum of Afrobeat, soul, funk, and the whole phenomenon of Black liberation theology. So let me start by saying in 1974 or 73, I'm not particularly sure exactly now, but Fela made a comment that James Brown was copying his music. I don't know if it was in his club or in one of his Fela chief crusades, which he has a spot on the newspapers, which where he writes his his series and comments and opinions. But let's go back to 1970. Well, around that time, when Fela made that comment, my friends and I laughed and, oh, what? James Brown, why are you saying Fela, James Brown is copying your music? But anyway, flashback to 1970, James Brown visited Nigeria for a concert. And during that concert, his band went to Fela's club to see a performance. James Brown did not go, but when they came back, Bootsy Collins was a member of the JBs then. And he told James Brown that that is the funkiest thing they've ever seen or heard. So they went back a second time. And after that, Dave Matthews, who was James Brown's music manager at that time, got a record from a Nigerian kid, I think a tape of Fela's music from a Nigerian kid, where they took it back to the United States to incorporate some of the grooves or rhythms there. And that was very well documented himself, Dave Matthews, years later. And that was even in my book, where I documented the interview that Dave Matthews told about that. So, and I think that was the reason why when you go to, when we were going to Fela's club around, 1972, 73, and so you are searched when you get in, when you're trying to get in, you are searched. And that was because they were searching for either tape recorders or anything hidden that you want to take Fela's music, because Fela around that time, which I think very few musicians do anyway, records the music he plays in his club are new materials. Fela rarely goes back to play old songs that he has played. So most of the music there is new materials anyway. And I think I read in a publication that Miles Davis does the same thing. So you see where the concern is. You come to his club and you want to, when you come in there with a tape recorder, you want to record something, then you are stealing new material if you want to put it in a tape recorder. So that's how that started. So that connection in terms of that, in terms of Fela's music and James Brown with his band going to see Fela. So that was the beginning of that James Brown and Fela connection. The other connection of James Brown and Fela is both of them, play a kind of symmetrical, horns and guitar, clicking, chicken scratch, funky rhythms. You also have the grunts, which are similar. You also have the street language, where Fela even educated, but he sings in the pidgin language, and also James Brown the same thing. Then you have the Black liberation theology. James Brown came up with Say It Loud and Black and Proud. Fela, on the other hand, released a song called Black Man's Cry. So the connection of the liberation of Blacks and the connection of the struggle of African or Black American, African American liberation is connected, in that Fela James Brown connection. So it's a very, very, very intriguing thing. A lot of publications and other books, they've connected it, written about it, in length and great detail of that connection. So you see where the method of the madness of when Fela was saying James Brown was copying his music came from. So now I get it, years and years later, I get the whole thing about that connection of what was happening around that time. In terms of the funky beats. Fela's drummer, Tony Allen, is hailed in a lot of funky quarters, if my expression, that he contributed a lot to in terms of the exposure of the funky rhythms of the beats, into the Western world. So Tony Allen, and then you have the connection in terms of the whole spectrum of the music in United States and also in Africa. So James Brown, Fela, there's definitely a connection between those two artists. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button and the notification bell, so anytime I release a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you.